Welcome to the Leaders Table, where we'll be learning, growing, and leading. My name is Pastor Edgy Gallegos.
I'm Ruben Reyna.
And we're excited to be with you here today at the Leaders Table. Pastor, I'm excited because we're going to be talking about something that is very important.
Yes.
And that's going to help the future and also help what we're facing right now, the present. Okay. And then we're going to look at the past to help us for what God's going to bring us into. And I want to talk about today, if we can, Pastor, called the dangers.
Dangers, okay.
Dangers that we face, as pastors, dangers that we face in ministry, in different areas of our lives. Right. And so I want to talk about that today. But you know what I love, Pastor, is when I see you, when I see where you're at right now, it didn't start like that. Right. And God reached you, God put a man in your life to minister to you and brought the word of God to you, brought the cross to you, brought Jesus to you, the love of God, and you had an encounter with God. Then God brought you into the ministry. God began to develop you. God began to grow you. You became to give your life to God, and we see growth take place. Yes. We see change happen, and then all of a sudden you start going into your calling. But there was what people didn't see a lot was the discipleship, the training that happens to a man. Sometimes we don't see it, but it's there. Right. It's there, and then now you're pastoring and you're doing a work for God. And so when I look at that, it gives me hope because I remember you telling me that you didn't know how to read and you didn't know all these different things. That gave me hope because I could do the same thing. Right. I couldn't read. I couldn't do all these write and all these different stuff. So I found hope in some scriptures. Yeah. And I want to read the scripture. I say all that because I want to read the scriptures. Yes. And on 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 25, start at verse 25 of 1 Corinthians chapter 1 says, because the foolishness of God is wiser than man, and the weakness of God is stronger than man. For you see your calling, brethren, that not many wise according to the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called. But God has chosen the foolish things of the world to put to shame the wise. And God has chosen the weak things of the world to put to shame the things which are mighty, and the base things of the world, and the things which are despised. God has chosen, and the things which are not, to bring to nothing the things that are. Look at verse 29. That no flesh shall glory in his presence. Beautiful. That's heavy, Pastor. He says the foolish, the shame, the weak. We look at the base and the despised. My God, the foolish. It just hits me every time I look at this. Yeah. And that's my life. Yeah. And I see that God, everybody's life, and you look and say, wow, God got these men, these women, and used their life. Yeah. That's heavy, Pastor. What is that when you see that, Pastor? What does that do to you?
I just see a lot of grace. God comes on us and picks us up. We're nothing. And then the grace of God develops us. Wow. And we start finding out who God really is. And then we become to change. Wow. With the seasons, of course. Yeah, but it's beautiful.
It's heavy.
Foolish things in this world. That's all we are. We have nothing to glory in. Yeah. Some people glory so much that we're really nothing. We thank God that we're something, but we're really nothing.
You see the four things. We see the foolish, the weak, the base, and the despised. And that hit me, the despised. Every time I look at the despised, I'm like, God, that was me. Yeah. I was like, wow, that's heavy. And then when you see God raise them up, and he says that no flesh will glory. Yeah. Yeah. That no flesh will glory.
We really need to pay attention to that.
And I think that's the problem is sometimes we don't see that it's God. Right. And sometimes we think it's us, all these different things. So we're going to get into some stuff, Pastor, that'll help us on the dangers. Yes. On dangers. And so when I look at all this, Pastor, I look at you and I see how you started years ago. Yeah. When did you start pastoring? How old were you, Pastor?
I was 24.
24 years old.
Yeah, I graduated out of Bible school when I was going at nighttime and working during the day. So it gave me 2 years of that. And then after that, I was on. Started in La Puente. Wow. Didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. I was just called. I knew I was called. So I had this fire that I had to get rid of.
Wow. And how did you get sent out, Pastor? How did you get sent out?
Well, let's see here. I graduated Bible school, and then Pastor Sonny allowed me to go to La Puente. And that's where I went. So we looked everywhere. We couldn't find no buildings. So finally, this lady that I witnessed to, I witnessed to her, but I didn't know she was saved. So she had a house.
Wow.
So she converted it into a school, into a church. So she wanted us to rent it. So I said, sure, I'll rent it.
Wow.
And it was a pretty nice little house. It was on the corner of Andrew and I think it was La Puente, Andrew and La Puente. And we started there. We started hitting the streets there and doing all kinds of rallies and stuff like that.
Wow.
And we had maybe about 2 demon-possessed people there. Didn't know what they were doing, but they were there.
Wow.
But they were young guys, guys that got saved. They were in their 18s, 16s.
Wow.
They wouldn't sit in no chairs. They would sit during the hippie days.
Yeah.
They always wanted to sit on the floor. So I had to deal with them.
Yeah.
Finally, one day, Sugar Hernandez came in. She was a tiny little girl. Today she's an adult. And she walked in and she gave her life to Jesus and brought her whole family. All the Hernandez family come in.
Wow.
So from there, we just started gaining ground. So I started learning how to be a pastor. Nobody taught me to be a pastor. But in seeing, Pastor Sonny, what he did, and I started grabbing all that, put it in my heart, and didn't know what songs to sing at the beginning. We just sang, I'm so glad Jesus set me free.
Come on.
The simple songs, without a guitar, without no music, just singing it, without no musicians. Wow. So we did all that, and the little church started in La Puente. Wow. In a little house, and a bunch of people got saved there. Wow. A bunch of people got saved in La Puente.
The revival broke out.
Yeah, it broke out.
Wow.
I didn't know what it was at the beginning. I was just
yeah.
so glad to see people coming.
Wow.
But it was God just reaching them, So it was amazing to me.
So we see that you started growing. There was no music. You got demon-possessed people coming in, people that didn't want to listen, but they were coming. They were coming.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important that we hear this, and it's so important that people that are going to be sent out or people that just started pastoring, that they understand this, that what dangers did you face in the beginning of the ministry that tested your faith?
Well, I think one of the greatest dangers is that I didn't know what I was doing that well, even though I went to Bible school. Yeah. I wasn't behind a pulpit. I wasn't trained to do songs. So I did it. I just got in there and did it. And I think one of the dangers that I faced in me is looking at myself like I was nothing. And when I realized I was something that God made, but He was using me. And in a way, it was good for me because it kept me humble. And so in leading all that, one of the dangers is that I didn't know what I was doing. But I did it anyway. I had a formation, and from there I started, and then the danger started growing. So, you go from step to step to step to step. But I didn't know what I was doing. Probably that was a danger too. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing. I was doing something that was good, but I didn't know what I was really doing. I know I was leading people to the Lord, but I didn't know the formation of a whole church. And so I had to learn. I had to learn. Stella had to learn. She had to put up with all the little kids. She would have a Sunday school in the back of one of the rooms, and she had a bunch of kids. And she was there laboring and teaching them and everything. But from there on, it started growing and growing and growing, sometimes it's better that you don't know who you are. Sometimes it's better just to obey God and then realize that God's really doing it. Even though you feel a little danger to yourself, and the danger of not knowing what you're doing is probably one of the greatest dangers I had to face.
And when we talk about dangers, Pastor, what does that word danger mean?
Danger, what does it mean?
Risk.
Risk, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. I wrote it down. I forgot to look at my notes.
It's a risk.
It's a risk. It's a risk that God picks us up. A total risk. And yet God knows what He's doing with us. When you're underneath His hand, He begins to show you, train you. You might think you're alone, but He's showing you and He's training you. And you realize you're a risk. But hey, God takes a risk and makes it into something.
Yeah. And we see the dangers that we face, the risks that we face. And I know you were telling me years ago, it's a risk working with people. It's a risk to work with people.
Yes.
And I'm triggering that, and it's almost like God sees us, and He says, I call the foolish things of the world, I call the weak things of the world, I call the base things of the world, I call the despised things of the world. It's a risk to work with them, it's a danger to work with them, but they're also going to face dangers in their life.
Yeah.
And I think those are things that you face, Pastor, in your faith.
Yes.
The risks that you face in your life, the dangers you face in your life, in your personal life. You said not knowing who you were, but also what else did you face personally in your faith when you first started?
I think one of the things that really helped me is that I know how to pray. I knew how to pray. Wow. So that's one thing that I lost myself in prayer. Wow. And Stella can vouch for that. And one of the things that God created in me that I didn't have was a love for people. And I started loving people way beyond my call of duty, Yeah. So that saved me from myself. Wow. Because now I was walking the agape love. I didn't care what they were into. Yeah. What I cared about is, what is God doing in your life? What kind of fruit am I seeing? And I think that's one thing that I took care of in the closet. Yeah. The danger of not putting myself first, but putting the people first, loving the people first, caring for the people, so that they could feel really the godliness inside of me. That is what built people. Wow. Because if I didn't have that, they were not going to stick. Wow. If I wasn't honest, they were not going to stick. If I wasn't transparent, they weren't going to stick. So all that is what happens in the closet. Yeah. Not knowing what you're doing, yet doing it. Wow. And then as you unfold, you start seeing all the little things that God really put a little touch in your life. Maybe it wasn't too much, but it was enough to make a church grow.
That's crazy. So I'm hearing the dangers of not knowing who you are, the dangers of not knowing what to do. Right. Yeah. But because you were a praying man, that you're able to face those dangers that attack your faith, that attack the ministry. Yes. Pastor, there's another one. What are the dangers of your marriage while pastoring and being tested in your faith? Yeah.
Well, I think Stella and I were people of prayer, but still, even in all that prayer, we had to know each other. Now, we knew each other like in the world. Yeah. Now we had to know each other in the church. We had to become one to accomplish what we needed to become. And one of the dangers is that sometimes we wouldn't get along. Yeah. Or sometimes we just didn't agree to certain things. Wow. And sometimes we had to disagree to agree, or experience some kind of ugly thing that happened to bring us back together. Wow. So it was like a total melting together to become one. In other words, she didn't have her own vision. She was adapting herself to the vision God given me. Wow. And she felt it, and she knew that my heart was there. That's the other thing. Yeah. Your heart has to be there, because the woman will follow that heart. Wow. If it's a clean heart, she will follow. If it's an honest heart, she will follow, because there's nothing to stop her. Yeah. It's all pure. Wow. So all those adjustments weren't easy. Sometimes we had little fights, Maybe, some demon-possessed people just like to talk a lot, and I'm over there trying to console her, and she's trying to weigh me down, like, leave them alone. Yeah. Let's go, let's go, And sometimes we would get into fights just over, how come we didn't leave early, Yeah. Because, hey, I can't leave early. I had to finish what I had to finish. And she started understanding that. So those are minor things.
That's good.
But they're huge when you're just starting.
When the beginning stages of all these things, of you guys becoming one in the field. Yeah. Yeah. In the field, wow.
And then she started realizing what she was doing there. For the kids, she says, if I take care of the kids, this is what she used to tell me, the parents are going to come. If the kids are happy, the parents are going to come. Wow. And I started listening to her, that she was changing. Wow. Her love for kids was changing, and she was helping me in that way. They didn't come to hear me, that's for sure. Yeah. But they come to their kids. But at least they were getting something from me. But God was using both of us. She had her ministry, I had my ministry, but it was like a glove in a hand. You know? It was perfect. perfect, learning every single thing. The other thing is that we didn't have no finances. So we had to pray everything in. Nobody was supporting us. Nobody was giving us money. Nothing. So the people that were coming, the rents weren't too high, maybe $500 a month then.
Wow. Yeah.
But they were all new. Nobody knew what tithing was. Nobody knew what was giving, Sure, they went to, to church, but they only used to give their little change.
Yeah.
Nobody sacrificed.
Wow.
So, somehow we made it. I can't even remember how we made it. But we were paying our rent every single month.
Wow.
Electricity, water and the whole thing. You name it, toilet paper and on and on.
That was my next question is the danger of your being challenged in the beginning in your faith in the church.
Yeah, and those are
financial. Wow.
Financial. And so when I see guys that they say, I don't have money, nobody's sponsoring me, I say to myself, well, you have a big God.
Come on.
Why don't you seek God? Because God gave us everything.
Yes.
I mean, even there, we didn't know what we were doing, but we were praying, and God was doing miracle after miracle, and it blew our minds because both of us seen how God was blessing us.
Wow.
We didn't have money for ourselves.
Yeah.
I was at a little job on the side, but yet the money was coming in to pay the bills, and that was a blessing right there.
Well, you see now, Pastor, where everybody will get on Facebook or Instagram or start asking everybody to sponsor them or to or give to this and like you said, you got a big God.
Yeah.
He owns everything.
Yeah.
And you've taught us to grab a hold of God.
Right.
You taught us to seek the Lord. You always said you're never going to have enough money to have revival.
Right.
Or to do anything. You always told us that. So we had to just do it and God will do the rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
think one of the dangers is as a pastor, you start either depending on your job and you're not depending on God.
Wow.
So you come in with a mentality, I got to depend on my job and not depending on God. No, it's got to be the other way around. You got to depend on God, and your job is just for a little while until He gets the church going.
Yeah.
So you can't be an employee to the church.
Yeah.
You're a servant to the church.
Oof.
You're a bond servant. You're married to God, and you're married to a person that He's going to take care of you.
Yeah.
He's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. But sometimes we got this mentality that we need a job. Yes, we need it to a point, but then you got to let it go and walk in faith. So that's what we had to do. Get to that point where we were walking in faith, both of us. So it was a training.
No.
Yeah.
It's hard. So you were learning through all these things, Pastor, in the church and in your job and your family and your marriage. And I think that when you went out to pastor, you thought you were just going to preach, huh?
Yeah. That's all I thought. Until everybody came and then I looked at Stella, I said, you got to start Sunday school. You got to do something. But she caught it too. Wow. But thank God that we had a church that we could look at a model and bring that model back into a starting church. So we had all that in our minds, Wow. But the danger was to start making excuses. Why should we go to preach? Wow. Why should we help people?
There it is.
And not have that servant heart, that call, not obey the calling of God, and start letting all these things sidetrack you and get you out of the church and not accomplish what you're supposed to be accomplishing. So you have to battle with yourself to get yourself out of the way. Yeah. And to get yourself out of the way is a big job. Yeah. And that's where prayer comes in. If you can go in there and pray and die to yourself, you're going to come out fresh and do what God wants you to do. If you don't do that, you're an employee. Wow. You can't be an employee. You got to be a servant. Wow. A servant that obeys your God and let God take care of you. Wow. You're not an employee. So many times I see guys, they feel that they're still employed. You're not an employee. You're a servant. And if you could get out of that danger of that mentality and be the servant, then you'll be fine. Wow. Your job is just for a moment. Yes. After that, you're going to get with it. Wow.
They try to use the system from the world into the system of the church.
Right. Right.
And as soon as you remember you said this years ago, I clocked in and I never clocked out.
Yeah. And that's it. That's what happened. Wow. From there, from that little house, that's where our faith grew. Wow. From the small beginnings, our minds and our hearts started enlarging of which way we should go. Yeah. That little house was full, jam-packed. We had no room. We had to move. We had to move. We traveled from church to church, renting churches.
Yeah.
Until God, we fasted, chief. Man, we fasted quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we asked God, one serious fast, we fasted, I guess it was about 7 days.
Yeah.
And we got a phone call. And we were living in a hacienda. We had converted a garage. We converted it into a house. So we were happy there, but we were still moving. And then we get the phone call, and this guy says, how would you like to have a church all paid for? And I said, that's a good thing. Stella, can you hear this? Because I wanted her to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she says, it sounds real, what she told me. She whispered.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I'd like to have a church
Yeah.
that's all paid for. He said, well, why don't you come and see it? I'll meet you there. I think it was on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So we went to Monterey Park, and the church was there.
Wow.
The guy walked us through the fellowship hall, and they had a little parking lot. It was on New and Emerson, and it was right in the corner. Man, he gave it to us.
Wow.
Literally gave us the whole place. He says, we got old, and we're done with this, and it's up to our corporation to give it to you. So they gave it to me, signed and delivered.
Wow.
And we went there. We had revival, but the small beginnings were the best because we died there.
Yeah.
We died there saying we're going to accomplish it, regardless if we have a building or not. We're going to accomplish it, regardless if it gets hard or it doesn't get hard. We're going to accomplish it. We're going to defeat this devil that says you can't do it.
Yeah.
We're going to defeat that devil that says I can't do it. We're going to do it, and we're going to depend on God. We had revival there.
Wow.
We had so many people there. They were standing outside, Edgy, outside, looking into the window, just to come to church. They would sit outside. Can you handle that?
Yeah.
Outside in chairs, looking in. It wasn't a big place. They said maybe 250, but it wasn't big. But they were sitting outside every Sunday. And people were curious just to see people outside sitting down, that they would come, more would come.
Wow.
So we had an army there.
That's heavy,
But we went through the process of kicking my job,
Yeah.
kicking myself. And when I say kicking myself, putting myself behind and letting God be number one. And Stella came right along. She was a lady of faith. She didn't care. If I failed in my faith, she would stand there and say, no, remember what we said. Let's pray about this thing and let's get it going. So there's nothing like having such a good partner with you that believes God and that's learning at the same time, because now we're learning together. We were like two people plowing together with the same vision, not having division in the house, but having a unity in the house that caused us to do what God wants us to do. And that's the thing in marriage. If you can conquer that and become one, the sky is the limit, because that is where the blessing of God is. That marriage will produce what you are, not what you say you are. When they saw us young, and we were in our 20s, when they saw us young, bold, not giving up, there was other young people that came along besides us. Older people came besides us, but they saw something genuine. And you produce what you are. If you're genuine, you're genuine. If you're not genuine, it's not going to last. So it's that thing of conquering yourself. The biggest obstacle we have is ourselves. If we could get ourselves out of the way, we could do anything that we set our hearts to do, because we got a big God, Edgy.
Yeah.
We just don't know how big he is until we get to work. If you get to work, then you're going to see what God wants to do. If you don't get to work, you're not going to see nothing.
Wow.
You're not going to see nothing, because you just let go of the plow and you look back and you went back. You can't. You start plowing, you got to plow all together and get that devil out of here, that you're not going to quit. The calling is real. We're not going to quit regardless of what the devil throws at us.
Wow. You know, before I move on to something else, Pastor, I think it's intense, because everybody wants to make excuses why this or why that, and why they can't do this and they can't do that. But I'm hearing that struggle made you guys get a hold of God. That struggle made you guys explode. You know. And so there's a lot of dangerous things that you guys faced.
A lot of them.
Wow.
A lot of them. When my babies were born, they were born in the hospital, of course, but we brought them to a little garage. They didn't know no different. And we were happy. I mean, we were happy. We didn't care. Stella had a little stove there, those burner stoves,
Yeah,
cooking there, man. She cooked some good meals, tortillas and everything. I'm like, what the heck, this girl, man, green-eyed, light complected, making tortillas. Come on, that she had that inner part in her that she was willing to suffer until she saw her blessing. So all that, you have to conquer yourself.
Yes.
If you don't conquer yourself, you're not going to get anything. If you don't die to yourself, don't expect anything. Because you have to defeat you. That God has called you, and God's going to accomplish what He says He's going to accomplish. So it takes a surrender, I say. The surrendering of yourself totally to God. Regardless if you see it or you don't see it, you work it. You work it because you're called and you're going for the invisible. Then you'll see the physical.
We're seeing all these dangers, financial dangers, your personal dangers within yourself. You got within your spouse, your family, the people, the finances, all these things happening. And then I hear when you start talking, you guys started growing. Revival broke out. You guys got a church. So let me ask you this. What dangers that you had to fix when you started growing? Things that, in your early days, that can help us. Like, I started growing, so just some stuff I had to adjust that I couldn't keep the same when I was in that blue house.
Right. What had to happen, we had to happen to develop workers because we couldn't do it ourselves. It started growing so fast that we had to develop workers. But the beauty is that when God touches people, they have a love because we poured love into them. They started pouring love into the people that were coming. So in essence, they were doing something that we were demonstrating. And they were conquering themselves. And they would tell me, now I know what you're saying. Now I understand what you're doing. And they put their hearts into it. We had a lot of kids. We had a lot of, you name it, we had a lot. But it was because the people were catching who we were and demonstrating it to them. I didn't have no training. The training was us. We were the demonstration of the training. And they locked in. They locked in and said, just tell us what to do, we will do it, And Stella would get them, come on, help me over here in the nursery, help me over here in the fellowship hall. She had like 100 kids just in the fellowship hall, And there I was in the church, but she was my partner. She was my assistant. She was everything. It's like you told me today. He says, what'd you say? You had a dream or something?
Yeah, but you were walking with one shoe.
Walking with one shoe. When she left, I had one shoe. Well, it's a big shoe, but I had it.
But I said you walked well with that one shoe, because if I walked around with one shoe, everything would be different. But you walked well with one shoe. You walked through the fires, the storms, and all that stuff, and looked healthy in that one shoe. And she would you said, man, that she was my other shoe. That's the first thing you said. She was my other shoe. Man, that would have hit me like wow. It was like wow.
And that's the obstacle, Edgy. The obstacle is to get away from yourself and become one. When you become one, you produce what you are, not what you say you are. People start seeing who you are, and they want to model you. Not that you're telling them, they just have it in their heart. God places it in their heart. And they want to model. And they were helping us everywhere, Edgy. I mean, before we even hit that Monterey Park, we were doing rallies in El Monte, San Gabriel, Monterey Park, and then Rosemead. We were in City Terrace. We evangelized the whole thing, and we would get schools, and we would set up and then put it down and take our stuff and stash it. And we were doing that for 2 years. But we evangelized. For every city that we went to, we had new people. There was no room to put us no more. So that Monterey Park became like the base that was going to allow us to sell it and buy bigger places. And that's the way it was. It was a miracle, but we understood it now. We understood that we had to follow the vision, and we had to put ourselves as servants. And we had no trouble then. None whatsoever. Because it started here in the home, that it brought it all the way to the front. So the houses, you might think your house is nothing. Your house is the model of what the church is going to look like. if your house is in order, the church is going to be in order. So once you conquer your marriage, you conquer yourself as a man, a woman, you conquer yourself, your kids, they follow.
Wow.
All my kids are saved today. All of them are serving God.
Wow.
I didn't, that's Stella.
You
That's
didn't
the
miss that
model.
then?
No.
Yeah. Wow.
She modeled that at home. And she would tell me, I'm going to work in the church, but this is my first ministry. So that first ministry became the ministry in the church.
Yeah.
So all this, we had to conquer. The first land we had to conquer was ourselves.
Yeah.
The second land was to conquer the world, or wherever the city was.
Yes.
We had to conquer that, and conquer and conquer and conquer.
Wow.
But as long as the house was in order, we could do anything.
Yeah.
If the house was out of order, you can't do nothing.
Yeah.
When you have the house in order, you could do anything. So don't be blaming God if you don't have success.
Yeah.
Look at your house.
Oof.
If your house is not in order, you ain't gonna do nothing at all. I can promise you that.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna do nothing at all.
Yeah.
But when you have a tight-knitted home, a tight-knitted wife and kids that she can lead, man, the sky is the limit. There is no limit of what you can do.